Here's my audience for my speech on epilepsy. Never underestimate the spirit of a person that's living with epilepsy. Tiffany Caros. This topic is near and dear to me because my own child has epilepsy. She's 8 years old and she's lived with it since 2 months old. About 740,000 children have epilepsy. My 8-year-old is one of them, and today I'm going to tell you how it affects the children and their brains. Epilepsy affects a lot of different parts of your body, and I'm going to talk to you about the different kinds of seizures, the effects it has on the brain, and how it affects the speech of a child. Epilepsy has affected my child, and I have made it my job to find the effects it has on her. There's 2 types of epilepsy. I'll tell you about them today, but within those 2 types, there's also broken down into more detail of each one. First, there's a generalized seizure. It's one of the main seizures, and this one makes you really tired. Then there's a focal seizure, and this one is one of the main seizures. The last one, the focal seizures last about anywhere from 10 seconds to a couple of minutes, and it's one of the major seizures that they have. Both have major effects on the brain. Generalized seizures affects both sides of the brain, while the focal seizures only affects one side of the brain. Not only do these kind of seizures affect the brain, but they also affect the way that a child grows into an adulthood. Children are prone to a variety of chronic conditions, have impairments with visual language, and have attention concentration abilities. Children's brains are affected. They have seizures, and the brain gives off and sets back a certain neuron inside of your brain. When the brain stops working again, when it starts working again, it develops a slower speed, which is why they have chronic verbal and concentration problems as they grow up. The brain doesn't develop as normally as it should. Children have learned disabilities that have set them back. They have social factors that come into play that they're not normal like the rest of the children. Their verbal speech slows down, and it also can even stop altogether. Having to raise a child with epilepsy is a challenge for any parent. It affects the lives of children that have to live with it. It affects our life as a parent too. We turn away family because they're not able to have another child that is sick or has a slight cough, and family members also get kind of hurt on that because they don't understand why we're not allowed to have them around our child. So that comes into play with the social area of this. We couldn't go places because my daughter went and would scream because she wasn't able to verbally speak because the seizures set her back so far that it would stop her from even talking. And screaming was a big thing. So a lot of people didn't want to hear her scream. Children with epilepsy it has an effect on the brain, and it works differently after an epileptic seizure. Children are treated different in school because the brain works differently, and social skills are not normal, and it divides them with the normal children because they're a little slower in everything. Their brains have made the decision to give them the chronic, the verbal, and the concentration problems as they grow into adulthood. There are 2 different main seizures in children, and my daughter has both. She did not speak for 5 years because the brain made that decision for her. There's over 470,000 children that live with epilepsy every day. They have to learn to live with this disability, and interact with children every day, which is really hard. To feel normal, and until they have a cure for this. A child will always have to learn to redevelop their brain again, to learn the same things that we normal people have today. Thank you.